Elucidation of Advanced Persistent Threats, or APT, by Nick Domidio, Andrew Rogan, Andrew Gustafson, Alec Hockenberry, and Tim Trung. An advanced persistent threat attack, APT, is a loose term to describe how an intruder or group of intruders commits a crime related to computers. They have a long-term presence on a network to mine highly sensitive data. Usually the victims of these crimes are large enterprises, government agencies, or any substantial business. The results of these attacks are harsh on the victim, including stolen trade secrets / patents, employee users' private data, database deletion, or even a total site takeover. In order for an individual or group of individuals to carry out such an attack, they need to have a heavy background on hacking or cybercrime. Most of the time, they would need a financial backer or have money themselves. Some attacks are even funded by the government and used in cyber warfare. Overall, an APT attack is an advanced attack carried out by highly trained individuals that lasts for a long period of time and steals highly privatized data or information.
The first sign of an APT attack is an abnormal amount of logons to a database, especially overnight. APT attackers would get access to different accounts and figure out which accounts have higher permissions and privileges. Since these attacks are usually from state actors, they'll be from somewhere else on the planet, which is why they will usually occur at night. Finding Trojans or other backdoors in your database system is a telling sign that you've been hit with an APT attack. If you have unusually large information transfers, especially to computers outside of your network, but even within, it is worrisome. Another red flag is if large amounts of data, which is like gigabytes or more, are in places that they shouldn't be, especially if the data is compressed in a different format than your company usually uses. Most, which is over 90% of APT attacks, have a spear phishing campaign directed at the employees of a company. Typically, they'll try and attack higher value workers like CEOs or CFOs or other leaders in a company. These people will have more access to information than lower ranking members. Lastly, pass-the-hash tools let attackers use the hash user credentials without cracking them to get more information. Many times the hackers won't delete these tools, which is a clear giveaway that you're the target of an APT attack if you find them in your database.
All right, so advanced persistent threat or APT attacks are cyber attacks in which the attacker gains access to an entity's network system and has access to the entity's files on their system. The attacker's main goal for these attacks is to generally steal data from the entity as well as to spy and disrupt the entity. APT attacks are aimed at gaining and maintaining access to the target's network for extended periods of time in order to complete the goals of accessing and stealing specific data from the entity. Also, to spy on them for long periods of time. APT attacks require a lot of resources and manpower to execute. Due to that fact, they are generally aimed at big targets such as nation states or large valuable corporations. As such, APT attacks are generally either politically or economically motivated in order to steal valuable data such as financial plans, records, military plans, or other government data, etc.
The stages of an APT include 6 steps that consist of the initial access, first penetration and malware deployment, expand access and move laterally, stage the attack, exfiltration or damage infliction, and finally follow-up attacks. First is the initial access, which consists of malicious software, which is the first step to gain access. Once it has gained access, it moves to the second stage where the attacker penetrates the system, allowing them to gain access to the network. The third stage is moving laterally, which allows the attacker to move across the network through tunnels and such as backdoors that are left behind. The fourth stage is where staging the attack occurs, and this is where the attacker starts transferring data or assets that are important. The fifth stage is where an attack such as a DDoS attack takes place to distract security teams while the attacker is transferring the data. The final stage consists of follow-up attacks, and this is where they have access to the same network that they had previously attacked, usually through a backdoor, and intentionally left so they can attack them again.
Advanced persistent threat attacks are not just an attack that any everyday hacker would have the capability to successfully attempt. Unlike most simple attacks, which are typically short-term and cause quick damage, APT attacks are long-term, drawn-out, and thoroughly planned attacks that are generally carried out by a group of people who are very knowledgeable in whatever areas of specialization are relevant to the specific attack. These actors are always trying to accomplish a specific goal, like most other long-term attacks, which are generally malicious in intent. Usually this consists of the theft of data for intelligence gathering purposes, whether it be used to carry out another attack in the future or for political purposes, as a lot of the time these attacks are backed by nation states and large corporations. So while the immediate attackers can be any experienced attackers who are capable, they're not always the people who have motive for actually carrying out the attack. Not just anyone can execute an APT attack. Actors involved must be well versed in the required skills and techniques in order to successfully carry out an attack of this scale. Also, while these attacks are sometimes not directly malicious, the information gathered is almost certainly used to perform malicious actions.